Welcome back to another episode of Painting Lines. Last week we talked about the Laver Cup, and today we have a very special guest joining us. He's risen through the ranks in the past 2 years, going from outside the top 250 to now breaking into the top 100. He made a splash at the Australian Open this year, taking a set off of Sinner, and has been stacking up some high-level wins along with a pair of challenger titles this year. So, without further ado, welcome to the show, Tristan Schoolkate.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. And funny story, I'm pumped to have you on because I was actually at work watching your first round US Open match against Sonego. I had it up on
Yeah,
one of my screens, and everyone that would walk by would just kind of like watch because it was right in the middle of that second set tiebreaker. So
yeah,
I had like four guys around my screen just watching. We're all pumped, juiced up that you got the win on the second set. And then after that, turned it off, was walking home from work like a few hours later, popped my head into a pub, saw you were still playing in a fifth set tiebreaker. So I had to go in, root for you.
yeah,
Super excited you got the dub. So that was funny.
yeah. It's wild. Yeah, wild match.
Wow, man. So yeah, let's just jump right in, start with your background. Let me know how you got into tennis, when you started playing, whether or not you played other sports, and just kind of like how, you decided to play professional tennis.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Perth, Western Australia. Um, my dad's a tennis coach, so that's sort of how I started. I started at my school, primary school, just around the corner from my house. But yeah, probably hit a few balls in the backyard against the wall. We had a bit of a wall set up. I get the chalk out, make some lines and a net. When I was probably about 4 or 5 years old, and yeah, did some lessons at school with dad and in like a group with a few of my friends, and then continued playing obviously through the years at school and then into high school and played at um like a club sort of 10, 15 minutes away from home, which my dad coached at, which was 16 grass courts that didn't bounce too high and two synthetic grass. So no hard and no clay. But yeah, I started playing a bit more on hard court when I was about 9 or 10 at Tennis West. So like the state center. And I practiced there with sort of Tennis West and then Tennis Australia coaches from about age 12. And yeah, I just kept playing. I kept playing through school and I was playing soccer a bit, football, when I was growing up. And I played that till about 14. And that's when I sort of decided, yeah, tennis is going a little bit better. And yeah, I was maybe enjoying it a little bit more. And I like the sort of, yeah, part where you're playing by yourself and yeah, everything sort of relies on your decisions and things like that. So yeah, I continued playing on and finished school normally. I played tennis all through school, high school, and played a few junior ITFs in my last year of school. Um, but yeah, I was training before and after, and then only really playing ITF juniors in the school holidays. And I had a good year and made like I think top 70 or 80 in the world juniors, off of a few tournaments. And then I played all the slams. I took the year off uni or any studies, and then played all the junior slams that year and traveled a lot with dad and another coach from Perth, Andrew Roberts, who coached me a lot. And yeah, I had some decent results. I think I made a couple third rounds in the slams, which is cool and a great experience just traveling the world and yeah, seeing all those places and playing some top guys who are still playing and they're at the top of the game now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of the American experience, right? Only grass courts. Most Americans haven't seen a grass court in their entire life.
Yeah. Pretty nuts.
Yeah, speaking of that, so what would you say the tennis culture is in Australia? Like, for example, in America, I feel like it kind of gets overshadowed by football, baseball, basketball. Like in Australia, it's one of the main sports, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not sure participation wise. Like we have a lot of people who play soccer or football, a lot of people that play Australian rules football. Um,
Yeah.
and rugby. Rugby's big as well. But yeah, I mean, I think kids are so active in Australia, especially when I was growing up. Like everyone's playing multiple sports. Like they're swimming, surfing. It's pretty normal like to stay after school and kick the soccer ball around, kick the footy ball around. Like everyone's doing a lot of different sports, and the weather's typically pretty good, so everyone's outside a lot. But yeah, we've got a lot of television around the tennis, obviously in January, and everyone gets around the Australian Open pretty hard. So it's a pretty big following.
Yeah, definitely. So would you say you kind of knew that that was always the goal growing up, that you wanted to play professional tennis? Like when did it become a reality for you?
I think so. I mean, it was more like a dream, but then it becomes a bit of a reality when you realize you can match it with the top guys and the juniors. That's probably the biggest wake up. Knowing I could kind of do that was like, okay, well, it's going to take a few years. Some people takes a little longer than others, but yeah, I think playing pros, like starting up, it's not easy, and playing futures and getting through that and eventually getting to challenges and then obviously into some bigger tournaments. Like, yeah, it's amazing to be doing what I'm doing. I obviously love doing what I'm doing. Otherwise, I wouldn't be.
You spoke on that progression. Like, what does each one of those steps feel like? Like, how massive does each step up feel from like the ITFs to the challengers to like the ATP main draws?
I kind of thought of it as almost like an apprenticeship for a job or for a trade. Like my brother's doing his apprenticeship at the moment to be a plumber. Um, and he finishes that next year and he's spent like 3 years doing it. So obviously you're not making too much money. You're learning all the, the tricks to the trade and getting a lot of information and yeah, there's a lot of hours there where it might not be paid work, but I never really looked at it like that. I just thought of it more as like a timely thing. And yeah, going through the futures, it's you're playing a bunch of guys who are either stuck at that level for a reason, or they're going to be transitioning straight through the futures in 2 months because they win every week and then they get up to challenges. And then you're getting some guys who maybe have fallen back down to that level and they're a bit older and they're still sort of grinding away. So just sort of finding your feet, getting through those events and getting yourself to a ranking where you can play some challenges. For me, it was a big step forward. I only really started playing challenges full time when I was middle of 2023. Started just thought I'd back myself in to play those challenger events and try and make a run at some events to get more points, get more results, play in better conditions and better tournaments. Obviously, you get helped with hotels being paid. You get usually better balls to practice with, better facilities and everything like that. So it obviously then gets better and better as you continue climbing up the rankings as well. So trying to drip feed those ATP events into my schedule as much as possible now. And um it's never easy, obviously. But no, it's rewarding obviously when you get to this higher level and play these bigger events because I mean I watched so much tennis as a kid like on TV and to play some of those tournaments is pretty sick.
100%. Um, And then it seemed like really, I mean, I was reviewing some of your career statistics, and it seems like in 2024 you really took that step up in terms of results. But I was wondering, like, what was the feeling like when you did get that wild card into the 2024 U.S. Open? Because I know I don't really know exactly how the wild card process works, but it feels like it would be like maybe like a surprise, a great surprise to see.
Yeah, it was pretty situational. Like if I think about it, I mean, I was lucky enough to receive it last year and also this year. But two completely different years I've had, two completely different rankings. It just happened to be that we had about maybe 9 or 10 guys in the main draw already. So I was like the highest ranked out, and I was ranked 170 something or 180 maybe. Um, and I think it had to do with maybe my results, maybe my age. Tennis Australia decided that. Yeah, I mean, I had a pretty good start to the year. I climbed up the rankings a bit, and I must have been the best candidate for it. But obviously, yeah, I felt a little bit like a fish out of water. I was never played in a main draw. Wimbledon was my first qualifying on my own ranking. This last year's Australian Open, I think, 260 or 270 in the ranking. So I actually got a wild card into qualies. So to sort of take that step and move up the ranks to be in the slam qualies on my own ranking was fantastic. And then all of a sudden to be put in the main draw was it was a good experience for sure. But yeah, it was much bigger than any occasion I'd ever been in, and it was a wild ride, that US Open. So
Yeah. And I
yeah.
know you got matched up against Taro Daniel, who's like a tour veteran. I mean, he's been in like the top 200 for, I think, around 10 years. And So I feel like that's got to be just a wild experience, not only knowing that it's your first time being in there, but you're playing against a guy who's in a completely different sort of mental situation going into this match, knowing that he's been there so many times before. So what was that experience like, just in terms of like how you prepared for the match?
Yeah, I mean, that's hard to prepare for, obviously. Exciting, first and foremost. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what he was ranked at the time, maybe in the 70s or 80s or something like that. And obviously I was, yeah, by far the underdog. And I mean, I was kind of glad to at least not see my name next to a top guy.
Yeah.
Gave myself a bit more of a chance to maybe win a match. But yeah, I just wanted to give my best efforts, and if it went 5 hours, it was going to go 5 hours, and I'd be there for every point. And at least I knew physically I was ready. But yeah, I think mentally was probably the biggest thing. I just didn't want to, yeah, disappoint the people who gave me the chance to play. And I was down 2 sets in a break, and it was looking pretty ugly. And yeah, found a way through the third, down a break in the fourth, somehow dug out of that. And then I was up a break in the fifth, and it was the longest fifth set ever. But yeah, I was phenomenal, obviously, and I was over the moon. Such a big match, such a big experience, and I think yeah, turned a page a bit in my career and given me some belief. And yeah, I was obviously 1 point away, one shot away, really, from being in the third round. But yeah, I tried to forget about that one.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of a balancing act there, right? Like you have to be like, I'm going to stay in this match when you're behind, and then you just kind of got to forget about those matches that it didn't go your way.
Yeah, yeah, it's I don't know. That's how tennis goes. There's so many ups and downs through the whole year and through your career, and I'm only just really getting started. So
100%,
cheers to many
100%.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you ended up actually getting him again, right, in Australia. So like, how was that different approaching that match?
That was wild. The chances of that, I don't even know um, what that would be. But we'd organized a practice, I think like a day or two before the tournament. And then, yeah, the draw came out. I was on court. I started laughing. I,
Yeah.
2 seconds later, I had a message from him. Hey, mate, yeah, probably better we find someone else to practice with. Um, and I think I was like, yeah, same, mate. Yeah. I mean, we'll be sharing the court for a few hours anyway. So that sounds good. But but yeah, the chances of that happening is absurd. My coach couldn't believe it. But yeah, I mean, at least this time I wasn't down 2 sets. I was
Yeah.
down 1 set, and I played very well. And it was a bit of a different feeling. It was obviously a home crowd. Um, but I was a bit more nervous. And I just wanted to win in front of home fans and Australian Open so bad that I think I just came out a bit tight. And eventually, yeah, once I sort of let that go by and just play the game and enjoy being out there and having the home support behind me, I played very well towards the end, and yeah, carried that through into the next round, and yeah, came across a guy that wasn't too bad, so it was all right.
That's really interesting what you said there. Like that, because we've discussed this in the past, like whether having the home crowd is an advantage or a disadvantage. And it seems like you kind of mentioned there that it can be both. Like you can feel the pressure of them being there, but also if you like enjoy it and embrace it, it's like definitely
Yeah.
a positive.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I played first round US Open on court 16. There was not many people watching. I mean, my coach was there, a few others, my mom, like it was, yeah, it just felt like another match. Obviously, just the stakes are a bit more. And as the match went on, knowing I came back from 2 sets down, people came to watch. It was pretty hectic at the end, but Australian Open's a bit different. Like I'd beaten him last time. I felt confident. I was maybe on paper still the underdog, but I felt like I could definitely win. Um, and yeah, I think there was a lot more people there who maybe know me a bit more personally, and I think just the Aussie crowd as well. Like you want to win those matches, and I've seen so many, Aussies over time winning their first main draw match at Australian Open, and it just looks unreal. And I just wanted to, yeah, that day to be like that. And at the start, it wasn't really looking like that, but then it easily can turn around, and I played some good tennis, and it was fantastic. Yeah, I'll never forget that.
100%. Yeah. And then obviously, like everyone knows you played Sinner in round two, but I wanted to ask, like, I know you've probably recapped this 100 times. So, like, from a fan's perspective, like, it feels like Sinner's playing peak level tennis. And I don't think anyone's going to argue with that one. But what is it like in terms of today's style? Do you think today's playing style is kind of just like that clobbering from the baseline ball. Is that like the overarching today style of tennis today, or does each player kind of have their own style they bring to these matches?
Uh, I mean, more often than not, guys, especially when you go up the ranks, you get more similarity. I mean, guys have got good serves, you know, good forehands, pretty solid backhands most of the time. Physically, guys are good. And if you let them dictate the play, you're probably going to come second. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, as you get right to the top end and you have that handful of people, and maybe there's a couple at the moment who are just playing absurd. Uh, yeah, you almost have no time to drop your level to find weakness in those top players is pretty hard. And yeah, I think guys are getting fitter, guys are getting faster, like guys are getting stronger. They're hitting the ball bigger, like they're moving so well. Even the tall guys, like I mean, Zverev, Medvedev, even Opelka, like I'm talking extremes, and like they're moving like they're 6 foot, and that's kind of crazy. Like then it's like, what advantage do you have if you're a little smaller? Like it blows me away at some guys who are 5'6", 5'10". I don't even know. Like they do it without really having a massive first serve. It's incredible, and I mean that's fascinating about tennis too. Like you have all these different styles. They're all somewhat similar, but yeah, I think the level just keeps getting deeper. Like so many good tennis players around the world.
Yeah, I mean, like it's crazy when you can see someone like Goffin earlier this year beating Alcaraz in Indian Wells, and you're like, I mean, he's what 5'6". That's definitely a lot more difficult. But yeah, no, that's really interesting what you're saying there because I think you're right. It seems like as the higher, like when you get better and better, you start to see people kind of merge to the same style where just everything is good across the board. Whereas maybe when someone has more of a specific style, it's because they're trying to hide a weakness.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, some of the guys who are serving bigger, maybe like they've got to serve even bigger because their return game's not that good. But even though their return game's not that good, there's so much pressure on your service games that their return game doesn't even have to be that good because their serve's so good. So yeah, it's a crazy sport. I don't know. It's ridiculous how good the level is, I think, just in general, and it's so deep. Yeah.
100%. And then you mentioned but like it can be tough when you're playing in a really intense match to really think about what's going on. Like, what do you do to try to adapt during matches?
Yeah, I think the in between point routines are massive. Like taking the time to breathe a bit and think about what's actually going on. It's pretty easy to get caught up in maybe the errors you're making or how good the opponent's playing, and that can sort of stray you away from maybe the plan that you had before. And maybe there's a couple of things that are blindingly obvious, but you just can't actually think about that at the moment because you're caught up in other things that are going on. So I think taking your time to, yeah, maybe depict the play a little bit, and actually just take a second to step back from maybe all the chaos that's going on in between the ears, and yeah, thinking about a couple of other things and taking your time's, yeah, a pretty important thing. You've got time in tennis, which is good, but yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it
So
doesn't feel that way.
Sometimes no. Yeah. Sometimes no.
yeah, kind of going off that. So this mental toughness, or I'm calling it mental toughness, I guess just like keeping your composure, was that something that you kind of always had, or was it something that was taught to you, like hammered in because your dad's a tennis coach? And I feel like especially younger tennis players struggle with it, and it could really be the Achilles heel. Like for example, you've had plenty of tight matches, especially in slams too. Like, being up two
Yeah.
sets and then dropping the next two sets. Like, what is going on in your head?
A lot of good, a lot of bad, but
Yeah.
no, no. I think it's maybe the defining factor in professional tennis is unless you're a super talent and unless you're a freak tennis player, yeah, between the ears is just about everything. Because everyone's so good. Like I said before, like a guy 500 can play easily toe to toe with a guy 50, I think, on any given day, pending how they're playing, conditions, all those things. But at the end of the day, it's the guys who can consistently bring their best level and have their worst level be still really tough to beat. They're going to be ranked higher. And look, I think personally, yeah, my dad always taught me to enjoy it, have fun playing because it's a game. and it is a game, but it's a very tough one. But I
100%.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, you got to learn, the tough training, doing things on the days where you might not want to. And I mean, I think the way I did it, I wouldn't change a thing. Um, it's shaped me the way I am. And yeah, I mean, yeah, didn't play a whole heap of junior events, which maybe that's the reason why I'm able to play so much in the pros because I feel more fresh. Um, which yeah, maybe is a positive thing. Like I think, like I said, in my the second last year of juniors, I played maybe 8 tournaments overseas and in Australia, and then I think each year I've tried to play a little bit more. And yeah, I don't know those tough moments and those bigger events. I feel like yeah, probably the most important thing I've learned while being on tour is that so many of these experiences, you can only ever experience yourself, and you'll only be better off for it after experiencing it. So you're better off next time. So yeah, look, I guess you got got to be tough, otherwise, yeah, you're probably not going to end up at the top.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's a great quote from Djokovic. He was getting interviewed by John Wertheim on 60 Minutes, and John was saying, "Oh, one of your greatest gifts is your mental toughness." And Djokovic stopped him right there. He's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! It's not a gift. That's something that I train and work on every single day."
Yeah, yeah. I
Have
mean, like I said, unless you've got some serious talent and you're such a good player and you can have some big results, yeah. I mean, tennis comes down to a couple points a lot of the time. And
yeah.
yeah, the more often you can win those 50-50 battles, your ranking's probably going to be a bit better.
Have you ever had a crash out on the court?
A
Like it's just
crash out?
yeah, like where you
Uh,
lost your temper, maybe you like smashed a
not
racket or just kind of lost your
uh
composure.
not really. I mean, I've always tried to behave pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really break rackets. I mean, sometimes I'll belt a ball, yeah, a few suburbs down, but that's fine. Um,
Can you think
but
of
yeah,
a think
I think,
sorry.
yeah, probably for me, like a crash out or one of those matches was maybe last year, actually, the match after I played US Open. I played, obviously, yeah, the biggest stage, of my career and biggest match. I flew back to Australia, stayed there for like 7 or 10 days, then flew back and played the Columbus Challenger. Um, and yeah, it said I was in the draw and that I played a match, but like mentally just not even close to the court. Like it was just so hard to, yeah, I guess come from such a high and then get back to work and play. Like I felt like I was ready to go, but again, it was like I said, one of those experiences. Now I know that maybe the right thing is to just like switch off, get yourself away from a tennis court, and then come back when you're ready to, yeah, get going again. Otherwise, I lost to a guy who was 500 or 600, and he's a good player, and he's
Hmm.
climbed up the ranks well now. I think he's maybe in the 200s, and I just was completely outplayed because I felt like I just couldn't, yeah, operate on the tennis court.
Yeah. What about your opponent? When your opponent maybe tries to distract you by I don't know, something like what Mutet would do or Medvedev. Like does that ever rattle you? Or can you think of a story where that has actually like worked against you when they have a crash out?
I mean, not really. I think, yeah, if someone's showing me that they're, yeah, looking for just about anything to disrupt my rhythm or things like that, I know I'm in a pretty good spot. So I probably just use it to my advantage and think like I've got them here, and if they can weave their magic and find a way out of it and cause me to lose, too good. But yeah, I think that again, that comes from experience and also learning how to deal with it. Otherwise, yeah, if you don't have those crash outs from the opponents and maybe when people are cramping or they're injured and things like that, having to deal with those things, yeah, it's
Hmm.
hard to do. But once you do it a few times, it feels normal. So yeah.
For sure. And do you rely on your box a lot? Like for example, your coach, do you kind of look over, do you utilize coaching during tennis and like what are your thoughts on coaching? Because I know that's a relatively
Yeah, I
new
mean,
rule.
I think even when there wasn't coaching, just about everyone's coaching. So I don't know. It's no surprise they just legalized it and said, "Yep, you can coach." And yeah, there's certain rules you can and can't do things, and certain moments you can't use them. But that's fine. Do I use them a lot? I think it's good. It's obviously a second pair of eyes to, see something that I might not see. Again, like I said, when you're feeling a bit, you know, pissed at certain things or you're just saying, "Oh, this guy's playing a joke," and then, "Oh, actually, you haven't served like this, or you haven't hit this shot. Like, why don't you do something like that?" Then it can make a big difference. It could be a couple points, and that could change a match. And yeah, there's definitely times where you don't really need to utilize them as much to fire you up or things like that because you're playing well and you're feeling good. But on the days when you're a bit more flat, like I think having that relationship and knowing when to, yeah, get a bit more up and about is it's important too, for sure.
Yeah. And it being positive as well, because I know there are some guys you see on the tour where they're just so negative, just yelling at their box. And you're like, okay, that can't be productive.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, as well, if you can make it lighthearted, have a bit of a laugh, it can help too. And like example is like I was playing Bublik this year, and I think it was like, yeah, he'd served really well to my forehand in a few games, and we basically were like, all right, like you can let him serve to your backhand. And he aced me like 3 times to my backhand. We were just laughing like, yeah, sweet. At least we didn't get done to the forehand, so that's good. But
Yeah, that's funny. I was actually at that match that
yeah,
Thursday round two. Yeah,
I was trying my best, but
I know.
pulled up short.
Yeah, tough draw.
Yeah,
He was playing well.
And then Eric, you have these quick hitter questions you want to jump into?
Yeah, let's do it. So, what is your favorite tennis memory?
I'd say probably walking out on Rod Laver. Just yeah, that was like a childhood dream. I've watched so many matches on that court, and yeah, walking out and seeing like a full stadium playing against the world number one was it was pretty surreal. Yeah, I was super excited, super nervous, but more so anything, I was just so proud to be out there and competing on that court, and it was a pretty cool moment. And, yeah, probably sitting down after the first and looking and seeing my mum and being like, "Oh, this is
Like I'm
going all
doing
right.
pretty
That's
good
pretty
right
cool."
now.
Yeah, not bad. And she was all excited, smiling, and I don't know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. How about your
Yeah.
favorite shot? Like, what is I guess something that, or a shot that you know that you'll hit 9 times out of 10, something that like you want to see in a match?
I'm pretty happy and content if I'm seeing a lot of volleys up at the net. Yeah, I mean, more often than not, I back myself. Yeah, to knock off even some tough volleys. I think yeah, forehand, backhand, either's fine. I feel like yeah, if I can hit them short, yeah, I have pretty good success. So I've hit a few good ones in my time, and yeah, it's a shot I love to yeah bring out in some matches.
Yeah, you think the volleys came from you playing on grass starting off there?
Definitely, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. A lot of my game plans involved serving and then hitting the first volley in the service box because the grass can bounce. So it was a good tactic, I thought.
Just dig the ball in, like in one of
Yeah,
those like
just
videos.
knock it over. Yeah,
Yeah,
can't blame about the bounce if you don't let it bounce. So
exactly.
Yeah,
yeah,
I've never actually played on that synthetic turf. That seems a little
yeah.
interesting. But all right, how about your favorite player growing up?
My favorite was always Joe Wilfred Songa, the French guy. I just
Song.
love the way yeah, the way he played, the way he sort of got the crowd going. He'd be serving big, hitting his forehand big, getting forwards, diving. Um, and yeah, I watched him at the Hopman Cup a couple times and ball kitted for him. And yeah, he was always pretty cool to watch. And I felt like he could sort of match it with the top guys, but yeah, he almost got a slam. Um,
Yeah, what
but yeah,
2008, 2009
yeah,
when we were
wait, yeah. I've watched the
in
highlights of the
Australia.
semis probably 600 times. Oh,
Yeah. It's funny.
yeah,
I always find watching old Songa highlights because it's just like 30 different clips of him diving at the net for a ball.
yeah, yeah, silly. Yeah, so good. Yeah, I love it.
How about I mean, I guess you kind of already answered this. I was going to ask your favorite surface to play on, but other than grass, I mean, I'm assuming it's
Oh,
hardcore, right?
yeah, I mean, I enjoy grass, obviously, just because I've played a lot more on it compared to the other
Mm.
players. But I mean, for me, probably hard courts, something hot. Yeah, hot outdoor hard is pretty good for me, and I mean, it suits my game well, so I obviously enjoy playing on it.
Nice. And then, who's someone on tour that you think is underrated?
Brandon Nakashima doesn't get talked about anywhere near enough. Um, Also, don't even think he was. No, he was in Chengdu. He didn't play the Laver Cup, but I think he'd be ranked higher than most of the guys in that team. Uh, but
Yeah.
yeah, he's incredible. He's my age. Played him in juniors. I lost to him U.S. Open third round and Louis Armstrong. Still owe him some money for the lesson you gave him. But yeah, I think he's insane. Yeah, every part of his game is a joke. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think one of the funnier Nakashima experiences was when he did do well at the U.S. Open. They had all these promotional like highlight videos for all the American players, and then they just threw Nakashima into it because they're like, "Oh, we didn't expect him to." Kind of shows how underrated he was that they didn't weren't prepared for him to be there.
nah, it's yeah. His results speak for themselves, and his ranking too. And yeah, I mean, I've seen him from the juniors as well, and keeps improving. He's always the business end of some tournaments, so I think he's pretty underrated.
Yeah, he
100%.
definitely flies under the radar. All right,
Yeah,
so
I
I'm
definitely don't underrate him, but he's
yeah,
definitely up
yeah, yeah, yeah.
there.
No, I know, especially when like people are talking about top Americans, he just doesn't make the conversation, even though he well should over some people. But
Yeah.
anyway, I know you like coffee, so what's your go-to coffee order?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in Australia, I typically have a flat white.
Flat white.
Yeah, so it's pretty naughty, but on the tour, it's pretty hard to get a good flat white going. But I found a pretty good chain here in China, and it's been great, so can't complain.
Nice, man. And then last question for the quick hitters, just kind of something fun. Would you rather play Nadal on clay or Federer on grass?
Better on grass for sure.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
really see an
kind of a
avenue of me
no-brainer.
winning too many points on clay against Rafa. But
Yeah,
at least Feds, you'd get a few games and yeah, he'd let you play a bit and you'd feel good about yourself maybe in a couple of service games. But Rafa, I don't know how many games I'm getting.
What are some things you like to do outside of tennis? Do you have any hobbies you enjoy, or is it just all tennis all the time?
Uh, um, no, I typically in most places when I'm traveling, I'll try and see a bit. I feel like we go to all these places and so often it's just hotel and courts. So yeah, I try to get out and check out the cities and places we go. And typically it's to find a good cup of coffee, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I travel with a Nintendo Switch as well. I play a bit on there, and yeah, for me, I'm pretty interested in yeah, I guess what's going on back home too. So I keep in touch with my family and friends, and I mean, I wish I could get in the ocean a bit more. I used to quite a lot back home, but sometimes we're not gifted in
Yeah.
the places we're playing to go like that. But yeah, I mean, I used to follow soccer when I was playing, but I haven't really followed it much
Hmm.
onwards after that. But nah, for me, I'll read a little bit and I play some video games a bit. But yeah, I mean, tennis and yeah, what you start to realize when you get up the ranks is quite a lot of the day does get taken up by what you're doing.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing that, then you're probably not getting the most out of yourself.
Yeah. I mean, do you try to like you said, you're trying to get out? Do you try any like local cuisines or anything like that? Or you got to keep it kind of
Yeah,
regimented?
I try to for sure. I mean, playing futures in Indonesia, I'm eating off the carts sometimes. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to try things, and I like quite liked being in Asia. I feel like some of the cuisines pretty unreal. But yeah, I'm steering clear of the chicken feet and the cow's hoofs and things like that. But no, it's pretty cool. I like going out and seeing things and yeah, making the most of getting to travel the world.
Yeah, got to be a bit of a risk though, eating off the carts in Indonesia and then
Uh,
going playing a
someone
match.
someone's got to do it. I avoided that in India, but
Yeah,
yeah.
makes sense.
So
it
yeah,
was funny. We had Sam Query on. He was telling us this story where he and Isner, I guess, were eating an Ethiopian meal just straight up with their hands, and they had no idea that you were supposed to do that because they didn't have any silverware. And they looked around, everyone just shoveling food into their mouth with their hands, like, "Hey, let's give it a shot."
yeah, it's pretty nuts. I mean, you see the people, or I saw it when I was there anyway, them serving the food out of the cart with their hands, and I'm like, hopefully it's not the one they're wiping it with. So yeah.
Exactly. And kind of the last one I have here is when you're traveling around to these countries, like when at what point do you start getting like benefits for traveling around? Like I know you said some of the travel accommodations are dealt with at the challenger level, but before that, it's just all on your own dime or
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I tried so hard, obviously, to like maximize my career and do all those things. But if I could save some money doing things with travel and flights and stuff like that, sometimes you'd have to. And yeah, I mean, I still can't really justify, yeah, spending so much on business class or any of those tickets. Like, maybe some players are doing. But yeah, I think any time that I would finish a trip and I'd be going home, I'd happily take like a longer flight or something to save $1,000 or like
Yeah.
those things. I mean, I eat pretty well, but also like I wouldn't be going and getting extravagant meals to spend absurd money as well. But yeah, in the futures, it's you're always sharing accommodation for sure. Um, I've stayed in plenty of Airbnbs with a few guys, and I use the Pro Stringer from 13 years old until 21. I strung every racket, so
Oh,
that saved me a lot of money over the time. Um, and yeah, I think with any of like the airlines or things like that, you're probably not flying consistently with one airline or trying to get any sort of status because it's just too expensive. But as you go up, yeah, okay, maybe you can start saving a little bit like that and be a bit more savvy with getting hotel points because the tournaments book the hotel and things like that. Yeah, it's always funny how it seems that once you get higher up, everything gets almost taken care of and you don't pay for anything, but that's kind of what you need when you're starting out.
yeah.
Yeah. So do
That's what they
you
say. They say like what the richer you get, the more stuff you get for free.
Basically, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So are you personally booking everything yourself, or do you have someone on your team that does that for you?
So yeah, last end of last year, I signed up with an agency. So I have like a company that helped me and manage a few things, and like they usually take care of that sort of stuff. And I mean, I still just been having done all that stuff for my whole career. I still like check over half the time, like have they booked the right day, have they like all that stuff. So I end up doing it myself mostly, but I think anytime, yeah, you can avoid doing the extras and focus on solely playing tennis matches and doing well, like, that helps
Yeah.
definitely.
You're just like texting your agent, like, did you check in for the flight yet?
Yeah.
And then as far as brand sponsorships, I know you're with Lotto, so can you just talk about how that deal went down? Was that something that they approached you, you approached them, and just
Yeah, it
kind of
was
the ins and out of that?
I was yeah, I think 2022, playing a few tournaments in Europe, playing some futures. I didn't really have a sponsor at that time. Had a good friend in Perth who happened to know someone at Lululemon who was able to get me some clothes for a couple years, which was fantastic. So I was wearing that and then buying like shoes and stuff. And that was great. And then I was playing in Europe and I was like, oh, it'd be nice to have like head to toe in the same gear and something where I think I was about 400-ish in the rankings and still young, 21 or 22. Um, and yeah, I got a bit of help from John Millman, another Aussie guy who used to play. He was sponsored by them and he sort of put in a good word. And I think I had like maybe I'd applied or tried emailing them when I was like well down the ranks, but a couple years before, and then he put in a good word, and they contacted me and offered me, I think it was like 3 years maybe, with them, and yeah, it worked out great. I mean, they've been awesome to me for a while now, and yeah, I've re-signed again with Lotto, I think at the end of last year. Um, so no, they've been good. Can't complain. Their stuff continually gets better, and yeah, I've had no issues and they've always been able to help me. And I've been using Wilson rackets as well since like 13. So I had a pretty good relationship with them for a long time. Yeah, it's been going well.
Hell yeah, man. I'm repping the Lotto right now.
Yeah, nice. I think I've got a couple of them
Great.
probably still in some plastic somewhere. I'll have to ship it to
Oh,
you.
there you go. Yeah, it's a great
Yeah.
shirt. I did have one more question. Aiden, do you want to take it just about playing Joao Fonseca? I feel like
Oh
that was
yeah. I
pretty
mean,
cool.
we kind of blew by that when we were talking about your career, but that was obviously just this summer. And I feel like going into that match, it was kind of billed as like he was the favorite, even though he's obviously a super young player. Like, and I feel like his style is very explosive and a lot of volatile shots. So how did you approach that match sort of like strategically?
Yeah, I mean, he's already ranked so high. He's so young. He's going to be top of the game for sure. Um, but yeah, I mean, I had to treat it like I was absolutely had a chance and believed I could win. Um, Otherwise, there was probably no point in me stepping on court with him. Uh, the fact that he's younger than my younger sister is pretty nuts. And already yeah, doing crazy things in the tennis world. And let alone I thought like what I was doing at his age is a little bit different. But yeah, I think the conditions there were lively, they were fast, it was bouncing. I felt like if I served well, it was going to be tricky for anyone, really. And yeah, it was cool. I mean, I played at center court. It was so cool. Pretty good crowd turnout. 99% of them were going for him. Um, and yeah, I mean, even when I walked out, like there was a few claps and stuff, but then when he came out, like it was nuts. And I was like, this is pretty crazy for, someone so young to have such a big impact on the sport. And it's pretty cool to see as well. Like, I mean, he's going to light up stadiums for years to come. And I mean, I guess there was a little bit riding on that as well. I was sort of playing for top 100 in that match, which was kind of good that I was playing against someone like that because I felt like it took away from that pressure or stress. And I played a good match. I served very well and made it very uncomfortable for him. He did a few big forehand winners, but yeah, I just tried to kind of make it, yeah, I guess give him not much rhythm, not let him play his game, and just try and control as many points as I could, and make it a bit uncomfortable. And did that very well for an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes, and came up a winner. And I was so happy, obviously, to get that win, and then also just to have that match kind of got me into the top 100. It's something I'll never forget for sure.
Yeah. And obviously you mentioned the crowd was kind of on his side. Does that ever, we talked about how the crowd can help you. Does that also possibly help you if you're like, you feel the energy from the crowd, even if they're against them, you can kind of play that antagonist?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I could obviously sense they wanted him to win. And as it was getting towards the end and things were running away, like they wanted more of a match. They wanted him to be in the next round. But I think you can kind of use that as like, yeah, I mean, Djokovic talks about when they'd root for Federer and Nadal and he'd like make it out that they're rooting for him. I kind of, to a very lower level, did it a bit like, when they're all pumping him up, I'm like, oh, they're going for me. That's great.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
like you're pretty much Djokovic, right? You're almost there.
yeah, couple of players. I mean, it was a great match. It was a cool experience. And yeah, like I said, something I definitely won't forget.
Cool. And then just as far as travel, because you are traveling pretty much to a new city, what, like almost every week? How are you, I guess, how are you playing so jet lagged? Does that affect you or is that just kind of something you learn to live with?
You kind of have to learn to deal with it. And yeah, I mean, everyone's got different schedules. They travel different amount of weeks. They travel different continents, countries, all those things. And trying to work out what's best for you. And I mean, yeah, I kind of have to play a lot at this ranking. Being from Australia as well, it's a long way from everything. And yeah, some weeks are not easy. Like I went from uh, India this year to Indian Wells and played a day later. That was no good. I was cooked by like 1 p.m. and I started the match at maybe 12:30, so didn't have much success there. Felt like I couldn't really move properly. I was hitting some pretty clean shanks. But that's the joys of the tour, how the calendar works. But sometimes, obviously, yeah, you can schedule it better and you can play a lot in the same continent, and that helps. But yeah, sometimes you don't really have a choice.
It's
Nice.
pretty
And
wild.
yeah, you play doubles pretty often, right?
Usually, yeah. This year I haven't played heaps, but in the years gone by, yeah, I played a lot in futures and the first sort of year of challenges, but I've slowed down how much I'm playing, obviously because I'm trying to focus on climbing up the singles, but I do enjoy it. Typically I'll try and play with Aussies and yeah, it's pretty good fun.
Yeah, I saw you played with Bernie, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Recently.
We we always wanted to play together once. We talk quite a lot, so yeah, he was excited. We signed in as alternates, like because I didn't know where I was going, if I was going to go to Beijing or Tokyo, and I had to be there to train anyway. And I'd been a little bit sick, so it was nice to play a match, and we got in, which was pretty nuts. I didn't expect it, and yeah, it was pretty funny. Just the whole experience of it. It was pretty good, and
Yeah.
yeah, we beat a good team, so it was cool. And yeah,
Did he tell you the story about Bill Ackman, that match? Like what went down there? Didn't really talk
nah,
about
I
it.
mean, he didn't say too much about that. I watched it. I was in Newport, so I got to
Oh, nice.
see that live. So yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Super high level of tennis in that one.
Yeah, yeah. There's a few good points. I've seen some highlights floating around.
I thought it was always crazy that people were like, "Oh, why aren't they trying harder?" And it's like they know they're gonna win.
Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, an interesting tournament, that one. It rained so much and they were making us play on the grass and yeah, I don't know.
All right, man. Well, hey, I appreciate the time. I think that about wraps it up. So, yeah, good luck the rest of the year.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
All right, and that's the show. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Painting Lines Podcast. Feel free to shoot us a DM or email us any questions or thoughts at paintinglinespodcast@gmail.com.